Roundup.
That's all the headlines for this week's Rider News Roundup. But don't worry, we've got you covered every Wednesday with a brand new report to keep you in the know. Catch up on all the stories anytime at theridernews.com and listen to every roundup on demand at 1077thebronx.com/Rider News Roundup. Because when it comes to what's happening at Rider, you'll always hear it here first. And now, let's get back to the biggest hits and the best variety only on 1077 The Bronx.
1077 The Bronx and 1077thebronx.com, winner of 3 2026 Intercollegiate Broadcasting System Media Awards for Best On-Air Pledge Drive. For our first ever Radiothon, Best Giveaway for Wake Up Riders Morning Bagel Run and Jewelry Spree, and Best Stage and Poster by Jake Goebel for Scream Screen. This is high stakes, and this is Nolan McCaffrey on this very fine 18th day of April, 9:04 the time, and like last week, I'm joined by John Coro. John, how are you doing?
Doing great, Nolan. Thanks again for having me on your show once again, especially for 2 weekends in a row. Looking to talk some sports today.
Absolutely, and a lot of big news has been happening here. Listen, it's a big time here. We got the NBA playoffs in store. I got NHL playoffs and. A lot of great things. MLB season is in full swing, but we first got to start off with some NFL news. As no later than about 30 minutes ago, Giants trading defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence to the Cincinnati Bengals in exchange for the number 10 overall pick in next week's draft.
What a move here! I mean, this is. First of all, the Bengals, this is a great move by the Cincinnati Bengals looking at their part because we've seen their struggles. I mean, I can't remember how many times whether it's Joe Burrow or Jake Browning just having absolutely great offensive games and then they just get let down by their defense. But bringing Dexter Lawrence into the fold is really doing you some justice there. And as for the Giants, unfortunately, you saw it coming. You requested these trade rumors. He recently requested a trade for about a couple months ago, but these trade rumors have been spiraling up for about 2 years. They couldn't quite come to contract negotiations. It was just getting out of hand, and so it's great. It's good on the Bengals part, but I'll tell you what, it's a dark era now if you're the Giants. You still got hope, but that's a big one to lose.
I gotta be honest with you, John. I think this was a good trade by the Giants. You get the number 10 overall pick in next week's draft. For Dexter Lawrence, who listen, let's be honest, he's a good player. I'm not saying he's not. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. He's been one of the lead catalysts for the Giants in a, you could say a poor era for them, and it has been that. But he's getting close to about 30 years old, and I think he didn't play great last season. I just look at him right now, and I'm like, he's getting close to 30, and to get a number 10, get the 10th overall pick, I kind of like this deal for the Giants, to be honest with you.
No, yeah, when you look at it both ways, it definitely helps you just restock a little bit just for the future. And so in the long run, this trade may sting now, but it may help in the future. And the thing is, I'm looking at it more like you're losing a key player, but you're looking more toward the future. And honestly, it's the way the season turns out is really going to be the sole factor on that, because that 10th pick you get is huge in return. So it'll be interesting to see.
Absolutely, and we can talk a little bit about the NFL draft coming up in less than 2 weeks, as the Jets have the 2nd overall pick and the 16th overall pick, and the Giants now obviously have the 5th overall pick and the 10th overall pick. You look at the mock draft right now. Obviously, Mendoza is looked to be the number 1 overall pick, but again, I mean, for the Jets, Mel Kiper has them taking David Bailey, the outside linebacker out of Texas Tech. Right now with the 5th pick, he has the Giants selected Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State. And, listen, I'll take it from the Jets perspective here. I wouldn't mind. I think for the 2nd overall pick, you need to get either David Bailey, Arvell Reese, or I forgot his name, but the outside linebacker from Miami. You have to get a defensive player, I feel like, in the number 2 pick. And then at the 16th pick, I want to get a wide receiver to pair alongside Garrett Wilson. They have the Jets taking Omar Cooper Jr. from Indiana, who had a very good year, obviously, for the national champion Hoosiers. For the Jets, I think it's you're not going to get Mendoza, we know that. But I think it's imperative for them to get a great defensive player, the number 2 pick, and then maybe get the wide receiver at 16, and then if they want, they have a lot of draft capital. Go into the draft and try to trade from maybe give away your 2nd round pick in this year's draft and maybe another player. Try to get into the late stages of the first round. If you really like Ty Simpson out of Alabama, the quarterback, maybe go trade into the late stages of the first round, get that quarterback and see what you have. And if you do that, you have you would think a great player at that number 2 pick, a great defensive player. You'll have that wide receiver that you could pair with Garrett Wilson. You'll have Breece Hall on the team and a nice offensive line. That's a good kind of nucleus to give a young player. And he doesn't have to play right away, obviously, with Geno Smith being exciting with the Jets. So he can be kind of a backup to learn a little bit first couple games of the season. That, to me, would be the home run for the Jets. But obviously, they have to execute it. What do you think? What do you say to that?
Yeah, no, I think getting Ty Simpson would actually not be a bad idea, like you said, because you can really just serve as a backup for Geno. I really don't see, as much as I really want Geno Smith to succeed, I really don't see him starting for the full year. He may be a little bit ice cold, like maybe a little bit on and off, whether that's injuries or not. And so you'll see Simpson get a chance to shine if you draft him. However, I'm a huge fan of Arvell Reese. I think if the Jets draft him defensively, you're getting yourself a pretty good pick. And I really like, with Reese stats in Ohio State, it's not necessarily the best season that Ohio State has had with football. It's usually championship or bust. I mean, any college football fan would know that. Excuse me. He did have a really good season, though, Arvell Reese. And I think he's definitely liable to get it. But with that being said, I think offense definitely needs some work, too.
And I think right now Kuiper has Reese going to number 3 to the Cardinals right after the Jets.
Okay.
So it's kind of 50-50 between David Bailey and Arvell Reese. The other guy that I was forgetting to mention was Ruben Bain from Miami. That was a guy that I forgot. But, if they draft, I think when you look at the defensive players of this draft, you got 3. You got Bain, Reese, and Bailey. Those are the 3 can't miss kind of pass rushers that I would like the Jets to get. I think that's a no doubt. Like I've heard some other people say, hey, maybe trade back into the first round. I don't really see it that way because you have a first round pick, another first round pick, the 16th pick this year, and then next year you have 3 first round picks. To me, I don't think you need to go to trade back and try to get some more draft picks. You have enough. Get the best player available. And I think, do I have a preference between Bailey or Reese or Bain? Not really. I saw Bailey play for Texas Tech, and Texas Tech had a really good defense last year. Their offense was terrible. Obviously, Arvell Reese was at Ohio State, and they're obviously a national contender every year. And Bain was at Miami, who went to the national championship game. All played well in the big spot, but I think for the Jets, you have to draft one of the 3 at the number 2 pick. And then obviously, like I said, 16th pick, I would like an Omar Cooper. You can look at a Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver out of USC, who had a very good year. But Kuiper has him going 13th to the Rams. Well, he might be available at 16. Who knows? I think you got to get that wide receiver and kind of pair it with either Geno Smith, and you kind of touched on it with Geno. Here, from a Jet fan perspective, I don't think Geno is going to be the long-term solution at quarterback.
Sure.
But what I'll say about Geno is that he is a capable quarterback if you give him time to throw the football. You look at his seasons with Seattle, and it wasn't like that was 10 years ago. That was 2-3 years ago. Had a good offensive line. You had Lockett. You had Metcalf. You had Kenneth Walker. You had some weapons. He was able to have some success. Last year with not Oakland, Las Vegas. Yeah. He had an awful offensive line. Ask Ashton Genty. Genty was putting up killer numbers with Boise State. and then goes to the Raiders. They have no offensive line, and he didn't play that
why.
well last year. Like, listen, I'm not saying Smith played well last year for the Raiders, but it was not all his fault. The Jets right now, they have the one thing they can hold their hat on is they have a young, improving offensive line. And I think with Smith, if you could give him some weapons, like I said, draft a wide receiver at 16. You obviously have Garrett Wilson, you have Breece Hall, you have Mason Taylor, a good tight end that people are high on first year last year. You give him some weapons, I think he can have some success. I'm not saying he makes the playoffs. I'm not saying he's going to be the Jets quarterback for 5 more years, but I think he can at least bring it back to some respectability, kind of be a bridge quarterback to next year and maybe getting one of the top quarterbacks in next year's draft, because everyone says that next year is a great quarterback draft. This year really isn't.
Nah,
it's only Mendoza, and that's it.
it.
Like Ty Simpson, some people like, but that's end of first round. Next year, people are saying there's 5 to 6 no doubt first round quarterbacks. For the Jets, I feel like it's important for them, for Smith. And if they want to draft Simpson, I'm fine with that. But Smith is going to play the first game of the season. We know that. And I think he can have some success if they put the right pieces around him.
Yeah, I think so. And, you kind of touched on it there just with the Jets. With Geno Smith, if you give him the pieces to work with, I feel like he'll be able to succeed. And I feel even if you don't get Arvell Reese or you don't get a linebacker, no defensive player, and you pounce on that wide receiver you're mentioning, Nolan, I feel like I'd be happy with that, because the Jets defense, I mean, there's certain games where they just get blown out of the water, but it's getting better. I mean, I think.
Listen, I like the getting. You got Minka Fitzpatrick in free agency. You're gonna get obviously one of the 3 stud pass rushers in the draft, and you got like Demario Davis from New Orleans, a veteran linebacker that can help them. Last year's defense was so bad that by accident they're gonna be better.
Yes.
Like by accident they will get an interception this year. They did not have. I don't think people understand. The Jets did not have an interception as a defense last year. That's never happened in NFL. Like, that is like insane.
That's rough. That is so rough.
By accident in a season, you will get a deflected pass that that goes into the arms of one of your defensive players by accident. Like someone tips the ball on the line of scrimmage and it like ricochets to one of your players. That didn't even happen for the Jets last year. They were awful defensively, and I think that's the biggest need right now. Offensively, they're not that bad when you look at the pieces they have. If they can have if Geno plays okay, if he plays like a competent quarterback this year, they can have a pretty good offense. The problem is their defense, and they have to address it with their second pick.
That's why this draft, these picks that they make are going to be so crucial just going forward, and it's. You just got to pounce on it, because you have to realize you have to decide, if you're Jets ownership, what do you want to target more, offense or defense? And that's what you got to make with your second pick, because you mentioned the pick right after. If the Jets don't get someone like Arvell Reese, most likely somebody's going to pick him before the Jets come back in that in that loophole.
And that kind of leads us to the Giants. Now that we know that Dexter Lawrence is not on the team, obviously for next year and years to come, they have the 10th pick, but that now opens up an opportunity to get a Bailey Reese or Bain from Miami. You look at it right now, the mock draft from Mel Kiper, and I think Mel Kiper is the best at this. They have Las Vegas taking Mendoza, obviously. Bailey going second to the Jets. Arvell Reese number 3 to the Cardinals. Jeremiah Love to the Titans.
I like Love, yeah.
And right now he has the Giants picking Caleb Downs, the safety from Ohio State. I think Downs is great. I really do. But now that Lawrence is out, it opens up a potential pick where the Giants could maybe get an edge rusher like a Reuben Bain at that 5th or 10th pick. Because now, obviously, you still have Thibodeau. You still have Brian Burns.
Yes.
You got some players there. But you're losing, and you're right. Like how you started off this show, you were kind of low on the deal because listen, Dexter Lawrence is a great player. He really is. That although you get the 10th overall pick, and I think that's a really good trade, really good value for him. You still got to replace him.
Yeah.
And that it might be an edge rusher like a Reuben Bain, maybe a Sonny Styles, a linebacker out of Ohio State that they have going right now 6 to the Cowboys. It's, I really feel that this now opens up a lot of options for the Giants. And let's be honest, you can still get Caleb Downs maybe at that 10th spot, at that 10th pick, because, a lot of people don't like drafted safeties high up into the draft. It's kind of, they kind of look at it as like a running back a little bit. Like, even though they have Love going number 4, they usually in the top 5, top 10, teams want to take pass rushers, quarterbacks, right tackles from the offensive line. Yeah. Those are the kind of players that usually get picked in the top 10. So I can see maybe Downs falling a little bit. And I just think that with them trading Lawrence, it opens up the possibility for them to draft an edge rusher.
Yeah, no, I think so. And, it's just, you have to look at it on both sides where you have to consider the possibility that your draft pick that you get may not pan out. You have to keep that in mind. That's why I was a little low on trading Dexter Lawrence at first.
That's a fair point.
Upside is there. I think the upside is there. Your Giants, I understand the approach. You're only trying to get younger, and you still have a young core to work with. But I hope for their sake that it works out, because it is electric when the Giants are in the playoffs.
Absolutely. So. And, I've heard a lot about them getting Jeremiah Love if he's there at the 5th spot. And I think Love is a great talent. I don't know if the Giants need him, though.
Yeah.
I mean, they have Tracy, who's a solid running back. Scadaboo's going to come back. I don't think they need him. I think they have other aspects of their team that needs attention more than the running back position.
Yeah, and you got Neighbors coming back for a full season.
You still have Wan'Dale Robinson. Actually, no, I don't know if he's on the team.
Actually, no, Robinson went down to the Titans. You still have Slayton, though. Yeah. You still have Darius.
No, Slayton is good. But I agree. I think they got to look to the defensive and maybe get an offensive lineman. It's not a great draft for offensive linemen this year, which is kind of surprising because usually there's some great wide offensive linemen every year. Not really this year, but I mean, if there's an opportunity, it might present itself. I wouldn't mind them taking an offensive lineman either.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, you can only get better. Just like the more time you give Dart to run, and the more space you give Scadaboo to work with and prevent any season-ending injuries, that'll do it right there for you. And
it protects Dart as well. I mean, Dart had a numerous concussion protocols last year. Yeah. So you want to protect him because I was very impressed with Dart last season. I felt he played really well, especially for a team that didn't have many weapons, especially when Scadaboo went down. I thought he played well, and I think he has a good future, but you got to keep him healthy. That's the number one thing for the Giants.
Yeah, that's the future face of your franchise right there, no doubt. You have to keep him there.
So, it's funny. We were going to talk about something else, but, some big NFL news. About a week out from the draft. We got about...
it starts the first day, the big day, the 23rd of Thursday.
So Thursday, yeah.
That's a big day, baby.
Yeah, so I kept saying all these past weeks, like, I'm going to get to the draft. I'm going to get to the draft as the weeks were kind of approaching to the draft, but we just got it in. And, I'm excited for this draft. And it makes it even more, the Lawrence trade makes it even more interesting for the locals because obviously you have two teams have 4 first-round picks. The Jets and Giants each have 2. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. Again, I kind of put this out that maybe the Jets trade into the late stages of the first round, get Simpson. I could see that happening. So actually, where does he have Simpson go?
Simpson.
I'm looking at Mel Kiper's mock draft, his latest edition.
Okay.
He doesn't have him going in the first round. He has him going number 30th to the Cardinals. He projects a trade with Miami right now as the 30th pick. And actually, no, Denver has the 30th pick, and they think that Arizona is going to trade up to that pick and get Ty Simpson. I can see that happening because obviously they let go of Kyler Murray. We don't really know what they're going to do quarterback wise. I could see that happening, but I could also see the Jets, maybe making a trade with Kansas City at 29 or Houston at 28.
Yeah, it's very possible.
Try to get a young quarterback in here, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited to to watch it on Thursday, no doubt. So yeah, we got to the draft. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about some NBA and NHL playoffs. The Knicks get a nice win. Islanders aren't in the playoffs. Flyers are in. Then we'll talk about how the Mets are just that's disgraceful. Let's just keep it real.
We'll be here for a while.
Yeah. The recipes have all been submitted for 107.7 The Bronx first ever Build the Ultimate Bronx contest. The culinary team at Ryder Dining Services has evaluated each recipe in their test kitchen and have chosen this semester's magnificent 7. Go to 1077thebronx.com/build-a-bronx recipes to see which Bronx made it to our lunch bag. Then go to our Instagram at 1077thebronx to watch. At 1077thebronx.com to watch, like, and comment on all 7 IG Reels. The 3 student Reels with the most views will make it to the Tasty 3 and the Build the Ultimate Bronx finale on Tuesday, April 28th from 11 to 1:30 p.m. inside Cranberries and Mother's Pub. We'll be back with more high stakes after these underwriting announcements on your 3-time 2026 Intercollegiate Broadcasting Systems Media Award winner, 1077 The Bronx.
Okay, it looks like we've landed on what the Earthlings call a college campus.
The mothership gave us voice changes. Turn yours on.
Excellent. Now we blend in with
Second Ave sandwich every time I come. It's packed with bacon, pork roll, eggs, cheese, and hash browns. With a glass of orange juice on the side, it's the perfect combo.
That sounds amazing. I think I'm going to also order the Madison to go and have a little pork sausage and scrambled eggs for dinner.
It's so convenient if you're in a rush. You can order ahead by phone or online at lsc2023.com for pickup or to dine in.
I love that Rider students, faculty, and staff get a 10% discount every purchase at the Lawrenceville Sandwich Company. And with my Rider ID, it's less expensive than my meal plan.
The best is when I grab breakfast or lunch while studying using the free Wi-Fi.
Whether it's breakfast, lunch, or a quick snack, the Lawrenceville Sandwich Company has you covered.
1077 The Bronx has very exciting news. Our new video stream is officially live. Now you can listen to The Bronx on air, online, and on the app now. So watch your favorite student shows live on the Bronx YouTube channel and Facebook at 1077 The Bronx, including What's Next Sports, Talk of the Town Sports, Bronx After Hours, The Concast, Cliff Notes, and Wake Up Rider. Keep it tuned to The Bronx to listen and watch your favorite student shows. Welcome back to High Stakes for your 5-time National Association of Broadcasters Marconi Radio Award nominated station, 1077 The Bronx. All right, to second segment here. Let's talk a little bit about the playoffs here in the NHL and NBA. Let's start off with the NHL.
All righty.
As the Hurricanes get a 2-0 win over the Senators in Game 1 of the first round series. Obviously, John, anything stand out to you about this game?
Well, I was actually shocked with how Carolina's offense was kind of stabilized a little bit in the early going. Playing in that atmosphere. The Hurricanes have been in the playoffs now, have been consistently in the playoffs and consistently playing home from ever since 2019. Mm-hmm. And so I was shocked to see how well Ottawa was able to keep them on their heels. But, it didn't quite surprise me the result of the Senators not being able to score. They're still a young team. They only recently started playing in the playoffs last year. It was good. And Logan Stankoven got on the board. He's been a heck of a player. And Carolina's really, like I said, I'm not as strong of an effort as you would think from Carolina, but they're still a great all-around team. I think they're definitely going to go far.
The Wild destroy the Stars 6-1.
Now that was shocking right there. That was shocking. That was incredible because the Dallas Stars, they're one of the top teams in the Western Conference, one of the top teams in the league, arguably. I don't know if it was and if you watch the highlights, you'll see they wore the sick black jerseys and the green on the bottom stars. I don't know what happened, but the Wild were all over them. And the thing is, it's only game 1. They'll probably choke it away like usual, but the Minnesota Wild, they are always a team that'll always get knocked out first round. No matter how good they are, they always get bumped. And so they're coming out with vengeance against the Dallas Stars. These two teams faced off 3 years ago in the first round, 2023. And, the Wild came out with a double overtime victory. They didn't win the series, but coming out with a 6-1 victory, that's a different story right there.
Absolutely. And then let's get to the big series, the big game of the day. Mm-hmm. Flyers right now playing against the Penguins. Flyers with a miraculous run to the playoffs.
That was fun.
Beating out the Islanders and a couple other teams to make it. Right now they're scoreless with the Penguins. What do you see with this series? Obviously, I feel like Pittsburgh is favored in the series, but
yeah.
Is this a series that they could necessarily have a good chance to win?
I think so, just because of how well they played in late March and early April, and with how it's all about, hockey's a funny sport. You have to get hot at the right time. And, with the Penguins have consistently been very good. You got a lot of veterans like Crosby turning the clock back, Brian Rust just going off, and you got Rickard Rakell, some newcomers really stepping up their game. And, you got the three main people who were there for the back-to-back Cups last decade, Letang, Crosby, and Malkin. Really cool to see that. But with the Flyers, they were red hot towards the back end of April, or early part of April, I should say. And this has a potential. I really can't decide on a clear winner on this one. I think the Penguins will take it, but I think it'll go to a full 7 games.
Oh, really?
I think so. And, it was really cool to see because the other day, this past Monday, I went to the Phillies game. They played the Chicago Cubs. It was a really good ball game, but literally right across the street, the Flyers were taking on the Hurricanes at home. Yeah. And as we were walking back to the shuttle bus that took us here from Ryder, we saw fans watching it and celebrating that the Flyers wanted a shootout and
Really?
were able to clinch the playoffs. It was actually pretty cool to see.
No, that is interesting.
But yeah, I think it's really tough. I mean, I think I'm gonna make a change in my prediction. I think the Flyers will take it in 7. In 7.
Really?
If the Penguins win it, they'll take it in 6. If the Flyers win, they'll take it in 7. That's what I think. It's gonna no way it's a sweep. I'll tell you that. Whoever wins today, it's not gonna be a sweep.
I would agree with that.
It's a very good series.
Not that my opinion really, is.
Well, look, when the Islanders, Rangers, and Devils are all eliminated for the playoffs for the first time ever, you only got
is that
really
true?
one
I
team.
didn't even
Yeah,
know
no,
that.
it's true. Wow. And now, so the Flyers are my only hope, and I don't like Philly sports teams, but I guess I'll have to go with the Flyers.
So, some other, you got the Kings and the Avalanche looking really good. Number 1, I believe, in the, what division was it? It was
the Pacific.
the Central.
Central, my
Division.
fault. Yep.
They're
Central.
playing the Kings. I would think the Avalanche is favored that series, but you never know what happens.
Yeah, no, and I'll tell you, I think the Avs 100% will win it. I was talking about it with Josh the other day, yesterday when he hopped on, about the Avalanche, about the Kings. If you know the LA Kings history of the past 4 years in the playoffs, they've been eliminated by the Oilers 4 times in the first round, 4 straight times. So the good news is they don't have a matchup with Edmonton. The bad news is they got a matchup with the best team in the NHL. And so that's, it's tough to see. But I think this is easily going to be a win for the Avalanche. I don't see. And speaking of, Flyers just got on the board. They're up 1-0.
1-0. Yep, I see that. One other series I want to get to, and this is. With the Oilers and the Ducks, I would think the Oilers will win this series. But, obviously Connor McDavid is thought of as the best NHL player. It's been that for a couple years now, but it doesn't have the Stanley Cup trophy to hold on to.
Yeah.
I think this is a team that can win it all. Obviously, he's been to the last 2 Stanley Cup finals, but haven't gotten it done. Is this team you feel good enough to take that final step to hoisting the trophy?
They're not going to be playing the Florida Panthers.
That's true.
So I think maybe this might be your shot, because I said the same thing last year where the Oilers didn't appear as strong, but they were winning games left and right. I tell you one thing, if I had $1 for every time the Oilers scored on the power play, I'd be a millionaire. They are, especially in the playoffs. I mean, they're unbelievable. Now, looking at just this matchup in general, and we'll dive to the NBA after this, but with the Oilers and the Ducks matchup, first of all, I don't like how it's a 10 o'clock game on a Monday. I wanted to stay up and watch that. But second of all,
West Coast.
yeah,
I get it, yeah.
But with the matchup with the Ducks and the Oilers, I think Anaheim will give them a run for their money, but I think the lack of experience that the Ducks have in the playoffs compared to Edmonton, a team that's made the Stanley Cup the past couple of years, I think you're gonna look at it. You're gonna look at the Ducks get eliminated like a reality check. I think the games will be close. There won't be a blowout game, but what I can see happening is Edmonton taking a 2-0 lead. Ducks get that win and they get the momentum, and then games 4 and 5 are relatively close. So Ducks, I don't see the Ducks going forward. Hey, we'll see. They could pull off an upset.
Absolutely. Going over to the NBA here, you got the Cavaliers winning the first game over the Toronto Raptors, 126-113. Mitchell with 32 points. Harden won the nice game, 22 points, 10 assists. Evan Mobley with 17 points. I think the Cavaliers are going to win this series. The Raptors have had kind of a fairy tale season. They've had, what's interesting about the Raptors, they have a lot of players that, weren't drafted by the team. Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Jacob Podol, Scotty Barnes was, but they've really had a nice season. But I think that it comes to end here. I just think Cleveland is better. Now I have my doubts about Cleveland making a deep playoff run, but they're better in this series. I think they're going to win this series pretty easily. I don't think it'll be a sweep, but I think it might be a 5-game series. I just think Cleveland's the better team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'd say so. And Cleveland's they're a very surprising team, and honestly, I haven't seen a complete resurgence. I don't think he's anywhere near as is once for him on the Rockets, but I really like how James Harden's really stepped up his game. I thought it was ridiculous when they got him. He's proven me wrong.
He's played well, But the thing is with Harden, and everyone knows this, is that he'll play well, and he'll play well in Game 1 of the playoff series. But throughout his career, he's struggled Game 6 and 7 in the big games. He's come apart in this. So we'll see if that comes to fruition this year. But judging by his history, it's probably going to be where you're going to look up at a Game 7 of the second round against the Pistons, and James Harden has 7 points with 5 turnovers. Which he has to prove that wrong. Right now, that's kind of been his history throughout most of his career.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be that. And Harden's going to be the guy that people are going to be looking at to take that torch. So you got to step forward.
Absolutely. The second game today, very good game, honestly. Denver 116 over the Minnesota Timberwolves 105. Jokic, he's a guy that I think John knows this. Can stuff a stat sheet better than I've ever seen. I watched this game today. Like, Jokic watching the game didn't even play all that well, and he still had 25 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists. He was tremendous. Murray with 30 points. Actually went 0 of 8 from three-point range, but still had 30 points. You had 5 players scoring double digits for the Nuggets. Timberwolves, Edwards, not a great game at 22 points, but went 7 of 19. Randall had 16. Gobert was 17 and 10, but just not enough. I think the Nuggets right now, they're the best team in this series. I think they're going to win it, and I would say about 6 games. That's kind of my prediction. Timberwolves will make it tough, but I just think the Timberwolves, they're not as good of a team when they traded Cat. I honestly think it's kind of, we'll get to the Knicks. Mm-hmm. I feel like it was kind of a lose-lose trade for both teams in a way. Not that they're bad with the current structure of their team, but to be honest, I like the Knicks better when they had Randall, and I like the Timberwolves better when they had Karl-Anthony Towns. To be honest with you.
I can definitely see why, and like you put 2 superstars together that if they can't mesh quite like you want them to, then that's it's not gonna play out right. But it has been cool. Like, the Timberwolves are a very interesting team. I feel like with them, they're a team that has a lot of upside, but they have just a tad bit more flaws. And the Nuggets are more of a complete team. Nikola Jokic. You said Luka Doncic, right?
I said Luka Doncic.
Wait, it's Nikola Jokic. You said Nikola Jokic. Okay, got it. The names are so confusing sometimes.
No, I know. Yeah.
Nikola Jokic, he had a pretty good game, like you said, and that maybe not his full potential, so that can only tell you, hey, he's only going to get better from
exactly. Here. Let's move on to a very interesting first-round series on a couple fronts. Lakers right now are beating the Rockets 48-39. Mm-hmm. And this is interesting because obviously Luka is hurt. Yeah. But the thing is, now KD is hurt as well. He's not playing. He'll be back in this series, but he didn't play tonight. For the Lakers, if they can steal this game here, get off to a 1-0 series lead, that bodes well for them because I think Luka can be back in maybe a game 6 or 7 in this first round series. And I think if they make it to the second round of the playoffs, they will be back. He will be back in the second round. If the Lakers can find a way to maybe win this first round of series, or maybe even just get it to a game 7, they'll have a chance because Luka's going to come back from his hamstring injury.
Yeah, I think so.
And right now they're winning 48-40. This is a big game. KD is hurt. Obviously, Reeves is hurt also for the Lakers. But if they can find a way to win this game, they got a chance. They really do.
Yeah, no, I think so. And, this is a team. It's this Lakers team is so interesting where like you don't look at them as the powerhouse that they once were, but they've went from overrated they've went from a top tier team to overrated to kind of underrated. They're just they're building that mountain.
They're a sneaky team right now because if they can just get their guys back healthy, they got a chance. But that's the biggest thing, and they got to give them time to get healthy. If they get swept in 4 games, there's no point. They're done. Obviously, they wouldn't have a chance to get these guys back healthy. They got to extend this series. And also a big thing for them, they have a lot of in this first round series. They have a lot of off days in between games, so that means it gives them more time for Luka and Austin Reeves to maybe come back later into the in the series.
Yeah, and it's like that contributes more to your point, just saying like they got to steal this game when they can.
But that's on the Lakers. And finally here, the Knicks right now up 1-0 in the series over the Atlanta Hawks. So, I think this series is going to be a tough series. I think the Knicks will win it. They won tonight 113 to 102. Karl Anthony Towns had a very good game at 25 points. Brunson had 28 and 7 assists. Nothing too spectacular, but they got the job done. They're up 1-0.
Yeah, and the thing with this Knicks team, in order for them to go far, is that they have to play more consistent. Where, one thing I saw throughout the regular season is that they put up great games against unbelievable opponents, but there's some teams that they just could not solve the Rubik's Cube on, and they were easily beatable teams. And I think, look, it's a game one victory. You had home court advantage with Madison Square Garden. I think that's going to play a huge role throughout this series. And getting the game one start, showing that you're still there and meant to be, especially with Karl Anthony Towns, he's been kind of on and off this season. And I think this is big for the Knicks. With Atlanta, though, on the other hand, they kind of remind me of the Lakers, where they're a very sneaky team. So if they could really bounce back, the thing with the Hawks is that they have to learn how to play on the road. Because I'll tell you one thing, Nolan, when the Hawks go back down to Atlanta for Game 3 and 4, Knicks fans are crazy. They're going to make that trip down. It's going to sound like it may sound like another road game for them. So the Hawks, they have to be ready to go.
Absolutely. You look at the Hawks, you have Jalen Johnson, who was an all-star this season. CJ McCollum, who's been a long-time NBA player, very good player. Had 26 points tonight. But I think just the Knicks are the better team. They're the older team, so they're more mature and everything like that. And I just think it's going to be hard for the Hawks to beat them in a 7-game series. I don't think they're going to get swept. I think they'll win their game, maybe 2 games. Outside chance this goes to a 7-game series. It was a close game for most of the game. It wasn't like the Knicks blew them out or anything like that. Really, the third quarter was the difference. The Knicks went into halftime up by 2. They won the fourth quarter by 2, but in the third quarter they won it by 7. That was kind of the big difference in the game. For the Knicks, they're going to play their style. For the Hawks, especially when you're an underdog team, NBA game is obviously 48 minutes. You need to play a solid 48 minutes when you're an underdog team. I don't care who the opponent is. You got to play a solid 48 minutes. I mean, the Knicks, they have more talent. They can maybe take a 5-minute stretch where they're not playing well and still win the game because they have superior talent. Hawks don't have that. They need to treat every possession like it's Game 7, really, to just win one game. No,
absolutely. And real quick before we go in commercial, I'm looking at the Knicks. It seems like every single game they play, almost every game they play, where they get off to kind of a rough start. You saw this more in the second half of their season, but they got off to a bit of a rough start in the first quarter. Second quarter, they make it a game, and then it'd be up to the second half where their opponents would run out of gas and they just run away with it, or the Knicks will continue playing inconsistent basketball. But the point being, like you said, you put it right on the spot, Nolan. The Knicks have the ability where they can afford to play sloppy basketball because they can bounce back and just have talent bail them out, basically, in a way. The Hawks do not.
Absolutely. And, tomorrow, you got Celtics and 76ers, a local team with the Philadelphia 76ers. I think Celtics are going to win that pretty easily. I just think they're the better team. Thunder and the Suns, same thing. I think Thunder might sweep them, honestly. Magic and the Pistons. Pistons are a little interesting with Cunningham and all that coming back from his injuries. But I still think Pistons are going to win. And obviously Trailblazers and Spurs. I think Spurs are the better team. Yeah, absolutely. So, tomorrow the games are kind of like between series where you kind of feel like where the winner is. Today there's some good series where you don't really know the winner. And obviously Game 1 is one of the most important games to get off to that good start in the series.
Absolutely. And only time will tell the rest of the way.
Absolutely. So, good first day of the NHL, NBA playoffs, and we're in store for... I would say a couple of good first-round series between the two sports. So we'll definitely talk about that next week. As by then it'll probably be about game 3 or 4 in those series. So
Possibly.
we'll talk about. Also, talk about some.
Could be a lot more different content by that time for both of our shows.
Really could be. With over 750,000 views in the last 90 days, our social media is popping. Be a part of the trend. Follow 1077 The Brock to see what we're up to on air and behind the scenes on Instagram at 1077 The Brock and on TikTok at 1077 The Brock WRRC. After you follow The Brock on social media, sport The Brock on and off campus. Gear up for summer by shopping The Brock General Store. From short sleeves tees and polos to insulated drinkware for your Akai refresher, go to 1077thebrock.com/shop The Brock to make your campus fashion statement. We'll be back with more high stakes after these underwriting announcements. While you're waiting for the return of my show, don't forget to like and follow The Brock on Instagram at 1077 The Brock and on TikTok at 1077 The Brock WRRC.
And Prometheus was punished for stealing fire from the gods. Epimetheus unleashed misery. An authentic Texas-style barbecue, More Than Q can cater events as big as the Lone Star State. You see, Texas has nothing on New Jersey. Get on up over to More Than Q, Route 1 North Princeton for true Texas-style barbecue. For more information on MTC's new Southern Grill, counter service, pickup, delivery, and catering options online, it's getforky.com.
Mornings are always better when you tune into 107.7 The Bronx. When you turn into 107.7 The Bronx, two-time IBS Media Award-winning best morning show, Wake Up Rider, Monday through Friday from 8 to 10 a.m. Join Sophia, RJ, Ellis, Brian, Lathan, Brandon, and Sheer for 2 hours of fun and games, including the Monday Morning Hangover, underwritten by McGuinn's Place, and the all-new Morning Bagel Run and Jewelry Spree, underwritten by Caesar's Bagels and Deli, and Peroti's Hidden Treasures in Mercerville. Go to 1077thebronx.com/Wake Up Rider to listen live on air, online, and on the app to catch up on past episodes. Welcome back to High Stakes under Prison Review's 18th ranked best college radio station, 1077 The Bronx. So, in the final 6 minutes, what do you think we're going to talk about, John?
Well, earlier today, I saw, well, first of all, we'll talk about baseball, but earlier today, I saw the Mets lose to the Cubs. I believe the final score was 4-2.
4-2.
But the thing about that loss is because their losing streak has now extended to 10 games, the most since 2004.
10 games, Mets are 7-14, and it's not looking good right now. I mean, you look at, the problem is, and it's like the record is bad enough. It really is. The record is not good. It's 7-14 to 7-14, John. It's not good. But I just look at, I look at the team right now. Brett Beatty's lost. He's lost. He's hitting 190. He has one walk on the season. Jeez. One walk. Carson Bench, I'm not going to kill him. But he's young. And you can't really expect him to do much. Jorge Polanco, they put him on the 10-day disabled list.
Yeah, but he's out.
He's looked terrible because of his Achilles injury. He's not hitting well. Vientos, I know he hit a home run today. Big deal. He has like one hit since the San Francisco series a week and a half ago. And here's the thing. When you look at the lineup, let's pull up the lineup for the Mets today.
Sure, let's do it.
Let's pull it up.
Hey, I'll try and look it up on my phone.
No, I got it right. Right here.
All right, you beat me to it.
So,
let's go.
The Mets, I guess Soto's out. I get it.
Sure, yeah.
And the lineup will be better when he's there. I don't know how much better, but it'll be better. Mm-hmm. When you have a rookie Carson Bench, who is hitting 150 on the season, batting leadoff, okay? Luis Robert Jr., who's played okay. I mean, has 750 OPS, which, for the Mets right now is like having 1,000 OPS.
Might as well.
And has come off 2 terrible seasons in Chicago, batting third. MJ Melendez, who was on the team, who got promoted to the team like 3 days ago, batting fifth. Brett Beatty, like I said. Marcus Semien.
What a train wreck he's
been terrible. Mark Vientos, who, like I said, his home run today was the first hit he had in like 2 weeks.
Yay.
And then in the 9th inning, when they're down 2 runs, they have to pinch hit for 2 players, Brett Beatty and Carson Bench, and they do it with a 39-year-old Tommy Pham and Tyrone Taylor, who last season had a sub 600 OPS. When I say all that, John, where are you going? Where are you going with this team? I get when Soto comes back, but that's one guy. That's one guy. When you have these kind of players having pivotal roles, playing almost every day, where are you going?
The approach doesn't make any sense at all. And, I really started to see this when an under-the-radar move was made a week ago where Tommy Pham got called up. Okay, big deal. Well, then you look deeper. Who's getting sent down? Ronnie Mauricio. What is the approach there? Why are you sending Ronnie Mauricio down? The guy whose walk-off hit is the last time you won a game. Why are you sending him down? He's a good hitter, not Tommy Pham, dude.
No, listen, who knows how good Ronnie Mauricio will be, but like Tommy Pham? I mean, seriously.
Like,
listen, I get it's early. But you know what, though? You can't keep saying it's early.
No.
We're 20 games in. I get it. But you know what, though? We're a couple weeks away from it not being early anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's like, here's the thing. I don't think, like, when we do our last shows in May, like, I'll be May 1st, I'm assuming.
Couple weeks from now.
Yep. So I'll be May 1st, you're May 2nd. It won't be time to hit the panic button yet, but we can't use the early excuse anymore.
No, I know. And
It's
I'll say
not it.
this. We got about a minute left.
Yeah.
Carlos Mendoza. I mean, tomorrow's a big day for Carlos Mendoza. I'll tell you why.
Why do you
Because if they lose tomorrow, it'll be an 11-game losing streak. They'll have a day off on Monday, and they'll play on Tuesday at home. Day off, coming off an 11-game winning streak, that's a time where managers get fired. And I'm not saying it's all Carlos Mendoza's fault. I'm not saying that. In fact, it's mostly David Stern's fault, to be honest with you, putting this team together. But someone's going to have to take the fall for this. And I'll say this. I'll say this to Mendoza. You better start playing better, because if it keeps going like this, he's not going to be the manager for too much longer. And I don't mean rest of the season, like he'll get fired in the offseason. I'm talking about like this week. You better start winning some games. I'll say that.
Hey, his job is in jeopardy. And I think the problem with the Mets is that if you're a small market team like KC, who's also struggling right now, you're not necessarily going crazy yet, because you're just a small market team. It's out of your control.
Have close to $400 million payment.
Yeah, the Mets are up there with the Yankees and Dodgers kind of status.
It's unacceptable.
And they're playing this kind of baseball. Yankees, as much as I like to complain about the Yankees, they're still a good baseball team.
Yeah.
And they're still great with the Dodgers.
I'll just leave it off with this, then we have to go.
Yeah.
Last year, second highest payroll, missed the playoffs. 2023, highest payroll, missed the playoffs. 2021, one of the top payrolls, missed the playoffs. This year, second highest payroll, not looking too good. So I'm just saying that, like, you better start winning here. That goes for Stearns, but especially, like, listen, Stearns, if it doesn't work out for them, he's getting fired in the offseason. We know that.
I think so. Yep.
But Mendoza, if he doesn't, like that's something that could happen this week. So I'll just leave it at that.
Not be
But we have to
surprised.
go right now. So thank you for listening to High Stakes. We'll be back next Saturday, 9 and 10 p.m. Stay tuned for more of the biggest hits and best variety on the Princeton Review's 18th ranked best college radio station, 3-time 2026 IBS Media Award winner, and 5-time NAB Marconi Radio Award nominee for a college radio station of the year, 107.7 The Bronx.
1077 The Bronx, WRRC-FM in Lawrenceville, New Jersey, won the